I grew up near the harbor in Odense, and it used to be a quite industrial place with lots of industrial sounds. Then after I grew up, they sort of changed it all, and now it's just big fancy apartment buildings, and you have to go a bit further away to find the old harbor sounds. So and when I was a kid, we used to take walks there all the time in the wind and almost in the rain. Just having all the sounds of the wind and the water and the machines in the harbor. And I would always sing little songs to myself. So in this piece that I wrote for Uusinta, I tried to recreate some of this feeling of walking in all these harbor sounds with the wind, especially the wind and the water and the machines, and having all these little fragments of songs pop out.
So my piece is called Wind Roses, and I made it out of these wind roses. And this is something I found at the meteorologist office in Iceland, where they are measuring where the wind comes from and what's the most common direction of the wind in many places. And I used that to do all the tonal material for everything that the band is playing. And then I have some field recordings of wind, which is and birds also. And I made the recordings except for one, which is I borrowed from a friend called Magnús Bergsson, who is I think he records the most field recordings in Iceland. So I think for me, wind is it's always wind in Iceland. It's very seldom that there is no wind. And it's very normal to have a lot of wind. So this is something that I thought could be representing this country. Yeah, and then I mix in some improvisation, kind of controlled improvisation. So I'm very curious to hear what will happen in this piece.
The name of my piece is called Tyska mossarnas sugluft, and that title comes from an old farmhouse that my parents had. It's in the woods of Västergötland in Sweden. And in that little cottage from the 19th century, there was this harmonium that I recorded one summer, and it was also the last summer when my father was alive, and he was sleeping in the attic while I recorded these organ sounds. And when I got this question from the Klang festival in Uusinta to make a piece, I was coming to think about these recordings that I did, and it was sort of like in a morning process. I tried to take those sounds and do something else with them than they were actually meant from the beginning. So I also did some additional recordings that I worked with in the studio to try to make something else. And my idea is to sort of create like a big organ that we, the audience, and the musicians are a part of. and also the musicians are playing harmonica. It's also to be part of that bigger organ, and they're also mimicking all the sounds from the harmonium. It's when you play the harmonium, it's especially when you're a keyboard player, you're not used to being so physical with the instrument. You're pumping the organ and makes all these different sounds. It's not only the tones that comes out, it's also the breathing and everything else. So it's more like a wind instrument actually than a keyboard instrument. It's more similar. So I think it was also nice then to work with the flute, to try to find ways of connecting the flute to the harmonium and also the ensemble, to connect them with these harmonium sounds.
It was actually a bit tricky to manage with the...
Yeah, but I mean, think about it more like a... But you're... the shake thing that you did?